The grassroots coalition to protect voting rights in this country is growing stronger and bigger, seemingly by the day. The latest institution to join the fight, the American legal community. More than a dozen of the country's top firms so far, at least, have agreed to essentially join forces. The leader of the group says there are 16 firms committed to mobilizing manpower. One organizer described it as a, quote, SWAT team for legal action, an army of election law experts ready to dispatch at a moment's notice. They are just the latest addition to an effort that has exploded well beyond Georgia into states considering similar voter restriction laws. In Michigan today, for instance, 38 of that state's most prominent business leaders, including the CEOs of both Ford and GM, signed a letter addressed to state lawmakers urging them not to pass legislation that would restrict access to casting ballots. It is more proof that this has become a united national effort. It includes major corporations, along with black business leaders, voices from Hollywood and sports, particularly Major League Baseball. And on that note, actually, proponents of stricter voting measures today are taking out their frustrations on MLB. Senators Cruz, Hawley, and Lee, three supporters of Donald Trump's big lie, as it were, announced a bill that would end the league's antitrust exemption. It's clear punishment for baseball's decision to move this summer's All-Star game out of Atlanta. Joining our conversation is marketing and branding expert Donnie Deutsch. Michael Steele's still here. Donnie Deutsch, you proved to be right. I was skeptical that the business community had sort of the steel in the spine for a fight with Republicans, but it appears as of today that they do.
Hey, guys. Great to see you, Nicole. Professor Steele, always great to be here. Look, if they're looking at a 5-year business plan, here's what they're looking at in their businesses. They're looking at by the year 2021. Do I look foggy? Is something wrong? Or is it just my
A little bit. You want to wipe your...
Okay.
You look a little foggy. Give it a little wipe.
All right. Well, it's just a little wipe here, okay?
Live TV in the time of Zoom. There we go. All right.
You know, they're looking at 5 years. They're looking at 5 years. Nicole, I'm sorry. You have such a great show, and I always come on, and it goes off the rails a little bit. You know, you got serious people like Professor Steele on. And I just take you off track.
Trying to figure out how he looks.
We're all trying to wipe our Zoom screen, Donnie. You're all of us today.
I got a lot more to wipe the Zooms in my life, but we're looking at 5-year plans, and they see in their plans that by the year 2027, half of this country, half of the voting populace is either going to be Gen Zs or millennials. And they're also seeing that only 3 out of 10 voters are going to be born before the year 1964. And so they understand this is the world. And Nicole, I talked about this last week, and this is where it is. This is where what I can't figure out the Republicans is they lose on the numbers. It's not there anymore. It's not even right or wrong anymore. And I do believe most CEOs are in the right places. It's just you're going to lose from a business point. And this is why the businesses are doing it. And, you know, these law firms that came aboard, these are not some left wing. This is Paul Weiss. This is Wachtell Lipton. These are the most traditional, conservative, white shoe law firms. It's not William Kunstler in the 70s. You know, these are as establishment as you can be. So when I see those 3 stooges, when I see Lee, when I see Hawley, when I see Cruz standing up there, they literally are stooges. They could not be more tone deaf to the reality of where the voting populace is. One final fact, 1 out of 3 millennials will say they would take a pay cut to work for a company that shares their values. Think about that. That's where the world is going, and
that's
Republicans
incredible.
are talking about.
Well, and I guess, Michael Steele, I'll come at it with you from another perspective. And no, you were not foggy. Now that we'll give everyone a screen test here. How do Republicans live without... Were they going to go to war with every corporation that's against a voter suppression law?
Well, yeah, if that's tactically what they think will gain them opportunities with the base and perpetuate the cultural war narrative to some extent. That's what you saw displayed today. You know, ask yourselves, where were you a year ago? What's the difference between a year ago and now? What's the difference in the 2018 cycle? When you had allegations in the Georgia governor's race of fraud and corruption, you weren't jumping on the bandwagon of looking into what was going on in Georgia there and responding at that point, because the Republican governor won. That's right. Okay, I get it. So that's the reality here. This is no more than a display of noise. And two of those three gentlemen have ambitions to become the next president of the United States, but they got to go through Donald Trump first. And of course, this helps navigate them through that space to perpetuate the big lie in the face of what the Supreme Court, 60 federal courts, the former Attorney General of the United States, and the Secretary of State in the state in which you're trying to bring this action said there was no fraud, there was no corruption, there was no illegality. So what is the purpose of this? You're going after a business that's standing up on the side of voters as opposed to standing with you and perpetuating the big lie.
Well, I take your point about them wanting to run for president, but they're going to have to become overnight advocates of public financing of campaigns because no one's going to give